Well, let me bring in our next guest, who is a big supporter of the Institute, a friend of the Institute. WageWorks is also a gold sponsor, and Jody herself is a member of our League of Leaders. Let me welcome to the program Jody Dietel, Chief Compliance Officer with WageWorks. Jody, good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, good to have you here, Jody, and look forward to seeing you real soon.
Next week, that's right.
You got it. Hey, Jody, for our audience that maybe doesn't know WageWorks, although many do, just give a little background on WageWorks, and then we'll talk about kind of this carryover option and where FSAs are.
Sure. WageWorks is the largest independent, publicly traded third-party administrator, and we administrate all consumer-directed benefits, which includes consumer-directed benefit accounts, health savings accounts, flexible spending accounts, health reimbursement arrangements, as well as commuter benefit services, and then we also administer wellness programs, COBRA, other employee benefits. And we currently serve 45,000 employers nationwide and over 4.5 million consumers.
So you definitely have the consumer perspective as well as the employer perspective. I know you personally and WageWorks as an organization were very much involved with the lobbying efforts around the FSAs and getting this carryover option in place. And now we're X amount of time past that. Tell us what's happening out there. I know you and Visa have conducted a survey. Talk about a little bit about what you see now with what's happening with FSAs and this carryover option.
Well, sure, and just to give our listeners a little bit of background, remember that flexible spending accounts had a long-standing use it or lose it rule, and it was largely the impediment to people participating. If you didn't use all your money, you lost the money at the end of the year. And this long-standing IRS position, particularly when the Affordable Care Act was enacted, with a $2,500 limit on healthcare flexible spending accounts, we felt it was time for a change, and along with a number of other industry stakeholders, started meeting with the Treasury Department and IRS on, look, there's no need for use it or lose it anymore. And that resulted, the first kind of exciting thing was that the IRS issued a notice for comment asking if the use it or lose it rule should be changed. They received more than 1,000 comment letters. Interestingly, to put it in perspective, I believe only 245 comment letters were issued on Cadillac tax. So it garnered a huge amount of support, and anecdotally, we heard there was only one letter from a group of optometrists that was not in favor of modifying the use it or lose it rule. We thought that was kind of amusing. But really, it was kind of a trick-or-treat. The IRS made the rule change on October 31st, 2013, and essentially they modified the rule to say that employers could offer the opportunity to carry over up to $500 in unused money. That's a real game changer for consumer-directed benefit accounts.
Yeah. So what do you see happening out in the marketplace right now? Now it's been out there. So what do you see employers doing and consumers doing? What do you see employers doing?
Well, WageWorks personally and the Visa study. So Visa worked with WageWorks to survey our large employers, and more than 60% of employers surveyed said they opted to offer a carryover option this year versus a grace period, so for going into 2015. And employers who opted for that carryover estimated that their FSA enrollments increased by 8%. WageWorks initially saw, for the very first year, and we were ready. So the day after the announcement was issued, we invited our clients to participate in a webinar. The following Monday, we held a webinar with more than 3,000 employers participating, hundreds of questions about how it worked. The mechanics came in through that webinar. We also issued kind of a web page, if you will, that included the amendment, all the FAQs, all of the collateral material for employees. And so we've seen growing adoption from 10 to 45% to growing adoption every day. So I think that 60% number is a good number. And we've actually seen in those clients that have elected carryover double-digit increases in enrollment. So I think that it's working. Employees are seeing that they don't have any risk for up to $500 of unused FSA dollars, and so that's great. It's also great for employees who've never kind of taken the leap to try to set aside funds as that safety net for growing out-of-pocket costs, because they can now participate up to $500 without fear of losing any of those monies.
So what's the size? We all talk about the size of the HSA universe and even the HRA universe. What's the size of the current size of the FSA plan participant universe right now?
I think with all consumer-directed benefit accounts, it's very difficult to kind of get an actual number. Recent work by the Employers Council on Flexible Compensation estimate that about 106 million Americans have access to a health FSA or HSA through either their family member or their mom or dad or something like that. So the universe is really quite large. If you think about the working population, I think, is only 160 million people.
Yep.
Jody, it's Ron Bachman here. You mentioned optometrists were the one group that was against this change. I guess people in the audience who have FSAs could recognize that what would happen typically at the end of the year with use it or lose it, people go out and buy extra glasses.
Right.
So I can see where the self-interest came into play there, and the audience ought to know that they don't have to do that anymore if their plan actually changed.
That's right, and I think people need to remember that all of the advertising around the Beltway doesn't go unnoticed by Congress or by the agencies. So, I walk into my chiropractor and they say use your FSA here, and your dentist at the end of the year, and certainly optometrists. And I admit, I confess, at the end of the year, early on, I bought an extra pair of glasses I probably didn't need on December 31st.
Right. Well, nobody can blame people for that kind of self-interest, I suppose. But in order to take advantage of this, tell the audience again what they should check if they're an employee, if they're a benefit manager, what they might need to do to assure that their plan documents allow for this, because this is not a new law. This is a reinterpretation by the IRS, and they have certain requirements in order to be able to facilitate this change, right?
Sure. The technical details are, first, an employer can offer the grace period or the carryover, but cannot offer both. And that's a very important point to make. Additionally, there's been a lot of agency guidance and chief counsel memorandums that have made it really easy for the carryover to interplay with a health savings account. It is important, though, that employers who have a current grace period, they have to amend their plan by the end of the year to terminate the grace period and enact the carryover. If you're a consumer, it's really important with all of these rules and kind of things that you hear about FSAs to remember that each plan can be different. So you should check with your benefits manager and check with your plan details to be sure that certain eligible expenses are there, whether or not your plan offers the carryover or the grace period. So it's really a very exciting change. I predicted when the notice came out that carryover would become the standard, plan design feature, and I think we're at the tipping point for that to happen through this year and going into 2016.
Now, we have so many different accounts that can be confusing to people who aren't really steeped in this, like you are, and those of us here at IHC. But with all the different accounts that are out there, how does an FSA work with somebody who has a health savings account? Can they have both? Is the fact that a company puts in a health savings account and provides money into it, does that take away from their interest in having an FSA? What's the dynamic there?
Actually, I think initially kind of HSA's 1.0, maybe employers thought that it would be too confusing for employees to figure out the alphabet soup. But remember, especially through the Affordable Care Act, consumers are getting to be very, very savvy with respect to their plan and how they can mitigate the most out-of-pocket costs. So I think the current design that you'll see in most progressive companies is a high-deductible HSA-qualified plan that allows you to enroll also for an HSA and a limited purpose, or what we prefer to call an HSA-compatible FSA. And those are plans that limit expenses to dental and vision only and preventive services in some cases up to the qualified high-deductible health plan deductible. once you've met that deductible, the limited purpose plan can be used to pay for any out-of-pocket expense. And that gives employees a real tool to use their HSA for future health care expenses and save for retiree medical expenses.
Jody, this is Brent. Kind of shifting gears a little bit and looking at this private exchange marketplace. Do you see the adoption of these account-based options flourishing as more people possibly move to them?
Yeah, absolutely. I think most of the private exchange options that are out there are really consumer-directed benefits in general health plans that are paired with some sort of consumer-directed benefit account, most likely a health savings account and HSA-compatible FSA, or a health reimbursement account, a health reimbursement arrangement, and an FSA. And so I think employees are getting lots of tools to be able to use these plans more productively and be able to withstand the out-of-pocket expenses they're seeing.
That's great. Jody, as always, it's been great having you on this program. And I want to remind our audience, too, that you'll be able to, if you're at Forum and Expo, Jody and her team will be there. She'll be able to hear her, talk to her, meet her, and have a chance to engage with the WageWorks team while at Forum and Expo. Jody, we got about a minute to go, and I want to give you the opportunity to leave our audience with one or two takeaways.
Well, the takeaway I'm going to say is, let's see. I hope we're seeing you at Atlanta next week. The Institute for Healthcare Consumerism, all of the conferences are just critical for anyone in this fast-changing marketplace. I don't know about you folks. We're all probably, except for Brent, about the same age, and it's the most exciting time, kind of the perfect storm in our industry and in the marketplace to watch the evolution of what's happening in the healthcare marketplace. So I think I really appreciate what you folks are doing to showcase the innovation and the leadership and really make people aware of the cataclysmic changes that are happening.
Thanks, Jody, and we sincerely appreciate your involvement. Have a great weekend and a safe trip here, and we will see you on Monday or so.
Yep, take care.
Take care, Jody.